Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Cumberland School Committee meeting budget workshop tonight, Monday, May 24th, 2025, at Cumberland High School Transition Building at 5:34 p.m. Can I have an approval of the agenda? Motion by Ms. Feather.
Second.
Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes 7-0. Can I have a discussion and or vote to approve the FY26 school budget amendments? Discussion. Yeah. Motion to discuss by Ms. Feather. Yeah. Second by Ms. Shea. All in favor? Aye. I don't know.
So just to start you off, to go back from last time, as you remember, last time we met, we talked about 1.7 million asked for the town. Fund balance came down to 1.22 from 1.3 because Tim had a better result with the medical. Mr. DeMona talked about some positions last time, and then he was not available tonight, but he gave you a writing. I have a copy too in print if you need it, just explaining what he's thinking right now on those. Essentially, he was asking you guys to just, in his mind, hold for now. He's looking for some grant opportunities for those, but that's his take. You can certainly still add if you so choose. What else can I tell you? Last time, I don't know if we hit this really quickly on this, with fund balance, as you remember, the policy says 2 to 4%, and we had said we'll have $2 million left if you did this budget and used 1.22. But there's also something called designated fund balance. We have $500,000 also designated. So you could take that and undesignate it, and Tim can spend a minute on that. So really, you really have $2 million plus $500,000 left, so 2.5. But can you explain, Tim, what designated is?
Yeah, at some point in the past, some of the funds in the fund balance were designated for use with facilities and IT. If we were to use those designated funds as part of the 2.2 in this fiscal year, that would undesignate all of the funds rolling forward other than the use of fund balance. So that would help to stay within that 2 to 4%.
So right now, to review the process, we give the mayor the budget first part of April. It's really the start of a long process all through the spring, right? Culmination being around end of May, early June, town council. Then we really, get our number from the council. Then we're probably, back here, maybe fine tuning what you're doing. And you can certainly, make changes all along the way, So this is only the starting point.
Any questions from the committee? Ms. Feather.
So what was the designated funds designated for? Oh,
Yep,
it's up
so
there.
at some
Okay.
point it was for capital and IT. I believe it was related to Chromebooks. And also there, in the policy, it kind of anything over a certain amount automatically gets dumped into into the facility. So that's where the majority of that came from. Yep. I also did want to mention too, the last piece of the budget, usually at the end of June, is when the state approves their budget, and we have in the past seen additional state aid come in. I think the last couple of years it's been like that too. That's why we're usually back at that point too. So a long way to go.
Also, one more thing while we're just kind of opening up. I know Tim has had some more conversations. Not that it'll move the needle in this budget, but in terms of future energy, can you mention just what you're talking about with the consultants as of late?
Yeah, so I met with a consultant today that's been working with the League of Cities and Towns. The League of Cities and Towns went out for RFP for solar panel installers. So they they went out for RFP, and there's this program. So actually on Friday, this gentleman's going to come out who won the RFP through the League of Cities and Towns, and there's a potential to put solar panels, carports, very early in the process. Like I said, I just met with him today, but that potentially could either offset and in addition to the solar credits we're already doing, we could be offsetting our electric bills. We could have revenue sources in terms of land leases. There's opportunity there. Schools in Massachusetts have been doing this. I haven't really heard of anyone in Rhode Island doing it yet. But yeah, he'll be out Friday, and then it's like a year-long process by the time we make our way through Rhode Island Energy, but we'll keep you apprised along the ways. But we're always looking for additional revenue sources to try and offset. We can only ask the town for so much, the state's only so much. So I'm always looking for different revenue sources. We can only cut so much, so different revenues we can do. So.
Ms. Smith?
Thank you. Mr. McGrath, could you talk a little bit more about that? When you're saying the solar panels, are you looking for potentially additional things to be added around the town or with the town? Because I know that we work in unison with other parties.
Very early in the like I said, I just had the introductory call with him today, so we didn't get into any specifics, but would be an opportunity on the town side. So we're looking at any opportunity, but like I said, very early, very, very early in the process to discuss any specifics of it, but potential for revenue.
And you'll bring that to us as far as studies, cost, 10-year, 5-year studies, things like that, because it seems that we're seeing a lot of people having more losses now
Yep.
than they are gains, and we just don't want to enter into something that's really going to be costly to the school somewhere in 10 years, 15 years, maybe it'll break even.
Right. Of course, yeah, everything will go forward with that, yep.
Thank you.
So with that, we're happy to entertain any budget adjustments you all have, any reductions, any additions. The floor is certainly open for anything you all want to consider.
Mr. Bacon?
So the 250 for the IT, that was for the Chromebooks that we spoke about last time, correct? Hello? 250, that was for the Chromebooks?
So yeah, so in the budget, there's the piece for the Chromebooks. This is separate of that. This is a funding source. So there was a
Okay.
revenue that, of the fund balance, a chunk of it is earmarked or designated towards IT, and a chunk of it is towards capital. So you have your operations budget, which
Yeah.
contains your Chromebooks, and then this is a potential funding
Potential
source for it.
fund, okay.
So, yeah.
Any other questions or discussion?
I know I can add one more thing while
Yeah,
I'm
of
just
course.
thinking of it and seeing Ms. Smith here. I know last year we did add a couple of minis. I know that was something we talked about last year, minibuses to take away some of the sting from statewide transportation. Right now, we're not seeing any big savings from doing that. The one run we want to really look at that we can't get our arms around is a special ed run, 8 or 9 students on one mini to like 7 locations at different times. And we try modeling, like having our folks take it over at Durham, but it just costs prohibitive. So right now, while statewide is expensive, the idea a couple of years ago was get minis, and have us take over the runs. But the big runs are the special ed runs that are really costly.
Thank you for that, Dr. Thornton. If I could just ask, do you have the breakdown somewhere related to what the cost per pupil or cost per bus is that we're paying the state on those runs?
I do have that. I can send it to you. It's not per pupil. It's broken down by category, but I do have that in a spreadsheet I can send over to you. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know-
like I said, the majority, like Dr. Thornton said, the majority of that is the special ed wheelchair buses. That's making up the majority of that budget. But yes, I can send that over to you.
Since we're on the topic of buses, has Durham approached you or any of us about changing over to their electrical buses?
Yeah, so I did speak with the district manager, Steve Schmuck, about the electric buses that BVP had purchased. So those were purchased through a grant, and those were funded through a program that was for, you have to meet a certain income population. So BVP, since they service Central Falls, was able to work off of that piece of it. That's the majority of the way that was purchased. The district they were responsible for putting the charging stations in, so they had to build all that infrastructure. Also, the electric buses were approximately $300,000 to $400,000 as opposed to $100,000 for the regular diesel gas buses. And also, ironically, they had to have a diesel heater added to them for the wintertime operations on top of it. So that was kind of the majority of why that program existed. So it wasn't that program, that grant was not available to Cumberland. So I think it was when Socket did it as well. But there was a lot of additional costs with that program. So.
Any other questions or discussion from the committee?
I just have one
Mr.
question.
Dean, and then Ms. Smith?
I have just one question about the letter the email that Mr. Damon sent, just he's doing awesome work behind the scenes trying to get us those grants. I had a question about the grants. I don't remember, how many of those positions look like they would have been on the CBA that we talked about last committee meeting. Was there 9 or 11 positions that were up on the board?
Of the 5 for 6 he mentioned, the 2 coaches are CTA jobs, teacher jobs. The halftime, I'm doing my head, the halftime community facilitator is that's not CBA,
Assistant principals are
not
not,
CBA, G6 admin,
cultural, probably not, or would they?
not, that's G6.
So
What
was that-
else was there? MLL would be
MLL, yeah.
CBA, teacher.
So he mentioned a 5-year grant, and one of the things he mentioned last time was probably the most important thing to raising scores and just general performance of the schools is consistency. And in the letter, he mentions a 5-year grant. Those CTA positions, would they be tenured after a 5-year? Would that obligate us to, if we use the 5-year grant to put those positions on?
The teacher could be tenured, whether they're in that job or another job. So for example, right now, the two folks in the coaching job right now, we told them as of last month, the money's not there yet for next year. So if that holds up in May, they're displaced. They can still, bid to another job and still get another year towards tenure. So whether or not we keep them in that job or another job, as long as we keep them, 135 days equals a year for the teachers.
So if we add positions and we do it under the grant, there's a possibility that we'll have to continue those positions beyond the expiration of the grant, is what I'm asking.
You can always cut the job. It's just that these people would get displaced and go to this job process we have in June.
I understand.
So the jobs are yours.
Yep.
It's just the people, we have to just displace the ones that are not in the jobs we're keeping.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Ms. Smith?
Dr. Thornton, just to make sure, the positions that Mr. Demotta talked about last week and the ones that he said in his letter, let's put a hold on it, those have not been, or at any time, put into this budget, correct?
No, the intent was, I wanted Tony to share with you, these are good jobs that aren't in yet, but I wanted to show you that, these are on the outside looking in. They're good positions, just to show you, we're asking for a lot of money from the town, fund balance, but we have these great jobs that aren't in yet. And sometimes, like I said, we may have a good outcome in June, and we get a few bucks to spend, and you want to pick one, and we just want you to know what's like on the on-deck circle. These are all excellent jobs.
And then last year, I'm so sorry, Madam Chair. Last year, we did add the 4 teachers down at McCourt. We made the change over to the teams so that they had the equal footing of how it was being done up at North Cumberland Middle School. And I know it's too early for test scores, but could you just tell us what the overall feeling is with it so far this year?
Overall, the building mood is better. We're fully staffed at McCourt. Last year, as you recall, we weren't. So it was really good as far as getting folks back in the team mode, and I think it's a much better place right now at McCourt. While I have something in my head, I should tell you, I don't know if we mentioned it, if we didn't last time, maybe the time before, we did have one add in this budget. I think we had told you we're adding one special ed teacher at community school. Did I mention that at some point in time? We have 5 elementary schools, and right now we have 4 special ed programs. Community is the one school without the program, and as we're getting more and more special education students in, we're getting more of that kind of critical mass. So we're looking to add a program at community for some of the students that come from different programs that fit the bill for that program. So it's in the new wing. As you go past the music room on your right, there's a room on the left with a bathroom. That's the location. So that's baked in. That's a 1 teacher add, special ed at community. 2 TAs go with that job, and those are TAs we have already. A couple of students are aging out past age 22, I believe, and they're now available, and we'll take those positions and put them into the program. So 1 teacher, 2 TAs with that program. So I don't know if I mentioned that, but that's an add in the budget technically.
Can you just explain line item 51332, which is the sick payoff voluntarily leaving? 51332.
So that line is an estimated line for when employees retire and they have sick time. There's a payout associated with it, so we use that. We budget a chunk of money there for those payouts.
I think by contract, it's not a high number per day. I can't recall the exact
I can't
number.
remember off the top of my head.
It might be 50-something dollars per day, something like
Yeah.
that.
I think it just adjusted in the last, yeah. I can't remember off the top of my head, though.
So typically, it's just for retirees, is that correct?
I just simply want to say, I appreciate the letter, I appreciate the information, the transparency, and I see the team is trying to look for solutions in order to add as many positions as possible, and through their creativity and all of this, I just want to say the hard work does not go unnoticed, so thank you to you all.
Ask who the grant writing team is. It's really Tony and his team. They're the team that writes the grants in the district.
Anyone else have questions or discussion? Of course, Ms. Feather.
Since I was not able to attend the last meeting, I just wanted to ask, the community facilitator that is not included in the budget, that was the position that was added, is that correct?
It was
Last year?
added, and I recall for a period of time, we had someone, then it was unfilled this year, just we didn't have anyone. It's been unfilled.
It's been unfilled?
Right now, it's unfilled.
Okay,
Mr. Collins was the advocate for that last budget cycle.
Yes.
We went in .5, but right now it's unfilled.
thank you.
I have another question.
Ms. Shea?
Back to the retirement. Do we offer an opportunity for early retirement by any chance?
We had modeled that back, I want to say 2012 or so. We did a model where I think we believe we offered 2 years of single medical coverage or a dollar amount if so many folks would retire. At that point, we had a critical mass. I think we modeled it, we need to have like 18 or 20 to make it worth the district's while. But right now, we don't have that kind of number of folks that are ready to go. As you remember, back in 2011, then Governor Raimondo changed the model. And now, if you go to college to be a teacher and you're 22, you have to work probably 40 years to get fully retired. So it really has kind of pushed everything this way. So now you're seeing like a graying of the workforce in Rhode Island because people can't retire. You used to retire at age 59 with 80% of your last 3 years. That was the old model. Now you work 63 to 67 for 50% of your pension. Plus you have TIA-CREF also. It's just different, and it's pushed everyone. We don't have that kind of a number of people ready, but we have modeled it before, and it's just a question of how many could we get to make it cost
One of
effective.
the issues with that also is backfilling those jobs. There's already kind of a teacher shortage that exists, so you're just kind of causing that to be more dramatic. And yeah, usually the numbers are in the 20 retirement range to make those work. But yeah, the backfilling is always a concern that I've seen too. Because
Right.
you'll end up bringing in a step 10 teacher, then you're kind of not.
Right now, I think, do we have 4?
Or, I have 4 or 5 retirements, yeah. That falls into that breakage number, so.
Of course, Ms. Shea.
Sorry, health insurance line 52121. I guess mostly my question is who is the current provider that we use for health insurance?
So we are self-insured through WB Community Health, of which I serve on the board as our representative. Yeah, it's a self-insured model, which is a very advantageous model for the districts. I believe there's 12 members in WB Community Health. Yeah.
Okay, and do they by any chance offer any type of like membership benefits, like reimbursement for gym memberships? If somebody is smoking or vaping, they get some type of incentive?
So that's one of the things that we're working on. Sarah Mangiarelli at WB Health is very progressive on those. She started by offering, looking at employee assistance. So there's a program that rolled out for that we're going to be rolling out. So that won't be a cost to the district. I believe that they did look at doing one of those programs, and it wasn't well activated, for lack of a better term. But I know she's always trying to offer new programs and things like that, so that might be something that popped up. The reason why that kind of got put on the back, not the back burner, but WB Health went out to bid for the pharmacy rebates, and we actually met about that today. I don't have my papers in front of me, but I believe the district realized approximately $500,000 of savings that we didn't have before. I believe overall it was $8 million across all the different groups just for a year, so that was kind of one of the big pieces we've been working on. But yeah, so.
And as far as medical, while we're on that topic, I would just add, if you cross the border into Mass, you'll see most districts, they have PPOs, they have other models, and the copays are typically higher, 25, 30%. So Rhode Island's still kind of low at 20%. I know last time with both contracts, we did discuss the potential of plan design or redesign to save some money. We didn't get any plan changes, but that's why you're seeing some increases this next year.
My last question is just the electricity, the 56215. Are all of our buildings, are they, I guess, up to date with like LED lighting to lower the electricity costs, to improve the energy efficiency, and optimizing HVAC settings based on the occupancy?
So I'll speak for Will, I know he doesn't. So as part of the elementary school projects, all those have been upgraded to LED. Mr. Jesus and I met with a representative a couple weeks ago, and I think he's coming out again. I actually got the email from him today to upgrade the high school, the trans building, and the 2 middle schools to LED, using like an on-bill repayment, which would help the district save, and we could see some savings there. We just got that paper, those figures today based on our new electric rates, but that's our next project, would be to replace all those LEDs and realize that savings. So.
I guess that would also kind of coexist with like HVAC settings too, when it comes to occupancy patterns, reduced to energy.
I believe, Mike, when we do the elementary schools, those have those systems. The high school still has a little ways to go on that, right?
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions or discussion? All right. If there's no other questions or discussion, we could vote to approve the fiscal year 26 superintendent's proposed budget. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the budget.
Motion by Ms. Smith,
I'll second it.
second by Ms. Feather. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes 7-0. That way, we don't need any additional budget workshops. Any public comment? No, no public comment. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Ms. Shea, second by Ms. Feather. All in favor? Aye. We adjourn tonight, March 24th, 2025, at 5:57 PM. Thank you and have a great night.